I'm Paco, and you're watching Bad Books. Today we're going to be going over my August wrap-up. August went by both really long and kind of quick at the same time. I read 15 books in August. I'm going to put a clip here of me with my stats of pages read and hours read. So Future Paco with his statistics and his shit all in front of him so I could do statistics. But I read 15 books in the month of August. 2,000 pages, 2,807 pages read, 111 hours and 23 minutes listened to on Audible. Of those 15 books read, 7 of them were physical. 7 of them were audio, and 1 was an ebook. Of those 15 books, 5 of them were 3 stars, 5 of them were 4 stars, and the rest were 5, I think. If I counted that right, probably miscounted, but you got the logistics of books read, page numbers read, minutes listened, and the format. I did not read a lot digitally, which is surprising because I usually read a little more digitally. But I read the same amount physically and audioly, and I'm happy with that. But yeah, back to Paco. Paco. I completely forgot to admit that I listened to the audio of Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. I buddy read this with Nell and her Discord, and we did a live show. I don't know why I completely forgot. I know I completely forgot because I forgot to put it in the pile. But I listened to that audiobook, and I really enjoyed it. It was really funny. The main characters was funny. It was a 3.4 or 5, almost a 4-star. I think I enjoyed House of Napoleon C a little bit more for the found family aspect, but I really enjoyed this. And I mean, this one wasn't based off of problematic ass shit, but I still enjoyed it. And I mean, I still enjoyed this book. Under Napoleon C has its issues with what I just said, but I enjoyed it. And Nell's channel, who I buddy read it with, will be linked down below. I give it Future Paco, and we're back. But so those are the pages I've read, and the number of books I read, the kind of star rating average, and the hours listened to on audiobooks. Now, for the month of August, I participated in the Magical Readathon. I was trying to get a demon necromancer class, and I completed all the tasks to do for the prompts for the necromancer class. The only thing I didn't get to was the Impling Summoning Challenge, so I failed at the Impling Summoning Challenge, but I still passed the course. So I will be continuing on, hopefully, with Necromancer. I might do Necromancer next year, but I might switch it up. But let's get to it. So the first book I read in August, we're not going to do the first book I read. We're going to go over the 2 books I don't have on me. And the first one that I don't have on me was not for any prompt, but that was for an ebook that I was reading that I read a little bit in June that I continued on in August, and it was Young Men in Love. It is an anthology of queer stories about MLM relationships, and it had a bunch of diversity of race, body types, and transness as well. So it was all about men loving men, and it was this really cute comic. I liked a lot of the author stories in here. I don't give anthologies ratings, so I'm not going to give this one a rating, but this one was just really fun. There's a lot of really cute stories in here. And the next book I read that I don't have on me was The Legacies by the author. The book's over here with the author name and everything in it, but I enjoyed it. This was a book club pick for the book club I go to in person, and this was about a group, 3 girls who attend this very elite high society school in New York. 2 of them are rich, 1 of them is there on scholarship, and they are all introduced into the secret club that is the high society of high society. If you get it into the school, you're set for life. Not the school, but this club. And things start to happen and unwind, and there's an event at the beginning of the book that is flashes back to the night of the main ball, and I enjoyed it. I gave it a 3 stars. My only problem was the only main girl of color is the one with the drug problem, which I'm like kind of irked me a little bit, but I still enjoyed it overall. So 3 stars. So the next book, now we're gonna go over the books I have. So the first book I have read for the month of August was The Shadow Cabinet by Juno Dawson. This was for the prompt of pet pick. So I forget what the class was, but it was my pet had to pick a book, and my brother's dog picked this one. So I'm very happy. This is a sequel to Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which Her Majesty's Royal Coven follows a group of friends. They were like friends when they were little kids throughout their whole childhood, and now as adults, after a great war, a secret war that took place, they are all in different places in their lives, and they are all like, or used to be members of Her Majesty's Royal Coven, a secret coven that helps the UK government. And one of them is the leader of this coven. One has left to do her own thing. One is a mom of 2. One is dead in a coma, and the other one is a vet. And one day a boy child is found that people believe is the sullen child, and shit goes from there. But I really enjoyed this story. It talks about transness. I loved Her Majesty's Royal Coven, and I love this book too. In this book, we get to deal with more with the character Ciara, and I loved Ciara. Like, she said, I may be bad, but trans rights, and I love that. So I really enjoyed it. I buddy read this book with Jen from Genderqueer. I will link their channel down below, and we were like messaging each other every day about it, and I'm very excited for the 3rd book in the trilogy, because this bitch Juno Dawson knows how to write a fucking ending, and I'm not okay with that. Spiritually, emotionally, physically, I'm very hurt by not having the next book in the series right now, but it doesn't hurt her nor there. So the next book I read physically was Bridget Carmar's Defend the Dawn. This was for the prompt of read a book about court or royals, and this book is the sequel to Defy the Night. Defy the Night by Bridget Carmar follows 2 characters. One is Tessa. She is a apothecary who midnights as a thief who steals this medicine because there's this huge plague affecting the city. And the other POV is Coric, who is the king's justice, the brother to the king, and the one who has to lay out disciplines to people that steal from it. And there's just political intrigue. Really fun story. And this sequel follows what happened after the first one, of course. And Tessa, oh my god, was so irritating. I was so irritated with her because it was like 1 or 2 words was all it took for her to completely forget everything she went through in the first book, and like questioning everything. And I'm like, girl, do you not have a backbone? Do you not have your own like sense of logic? Do you not know what you went through? Like, it was so irritating. I am very more intrigued in the side story that was happening here. I guess it's going to play a bigger part in the next book. So I am very excited for the 3rd and final book, Destroy the Day. But I enjoyed this still. I gave this like a 3.5 stars. And Shadow Cabinet was 5 stars. Next book is a buddy read with Princess from the Castle Library. Her channel will be linked down below. But we are buddy reading the Nevernight series by Jay Kristoff. This month we read Nevernight. This is a reread for me since I've read the first book already. But that was like 4 years ago. And this book follows Mina Corvair after her family is disgraced, destroyed, and ruined. Years ago when she's a little girl, she finally joins the secret society of assassins so she could train to get revenge. And it's her trying to survive the school and their bloody rights and stuff like that. I enjoyed this series. This book. I only read the first book in the series so far. I gave it 3 stars, like a 3.5. It was still fun. Mina is an interesting character, and I like her abilities and power set. And Jay Kristoff can write an interesting book, even though he's a terrible person. So I gave this 3 stars. I am excited to continue on with our buddy read Princess. That was the message for Princess, but yeah. Oh, and I read this prompt for a book you read at night. I listened to this mostly at night before I went to bed. The next book I read was for the prompt to read a comic or graphic novel, and that was Wonder Woman Historia, written by Kelly Sue DeConnick, Phil Jimenez did the art. Gene Hall also helped, and Nicole Scott. So this book follows the origins of the Amazons of the Mascara from DC Comics. This starts with the creation of the Amazons and ends with the birth of Diana. So this like follows their whole life. It's a 5 beautifully mastered art piece, and it talks about like women's rage. It talks about the goddesses and just the creation of the Amazons and how it differs from what we've been told before. I highly recommend this. This was really good. I mean, this won awards for a reason, and I was just flabbergasted by how good this was. Like, look at the back of the art of Hera. Like, Hera, I loved Hera in this. Like, this has to be one of my favorite depictions of Hera. I really liked the way the gods were drawn. It was a really interesting way to make them more Lovecraftian and more, like, clearly non-human. And it was just really good. And the goddesses, like, were top chef's kiss of the art-wise. But, also, I love Hippolyta, one of my favorite characters, Mother. And I just really enjoyed this. So, this was a 5-star. A lot of 5 stars this year, but you already knew that. This month. All right, another book. This book is skyrocketed to my favorite list. This will probably be a favorite book, and I want to reread it eventually. I mean, I'm not surprised that it's a favorite, and I read this book for the prompt where it was read a book that had black or fire on the cover, and it's black. And that was Vendo Pankuruha by Dizia Mesa. This book follows Luna, or Rose, or Rosalina, as she goes by many different names. She goes by Rose when she is working as a writer for the newspaper. She goes by Rosalina when she is running a bar, because it takes place in the 1920s, so it's a speakeasy, very hidden. And she goes by Luna when she's at home, where nobody else knows, where she visits her family, because she is Mexican, but she is also half white and white passing, so she pretends to not be Mexican so she can actually succeed in her world at the time. But she is also a bruja. She is a earth witch, and I just really enjoyed this. I loved Luna as a character. She was so fun, she was decadent, she was sassy, and she had a really big heart, and I loved her. I loved the friendships, like the side characters of this book, like especially her brother and her family, and like her friends she made were great. The love interest was okay. He wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate him, and I just really enjoyed this book. I highly recommend it. This is it's place 1920. It's got gangsters. It's got like the Klan are villains of the book, and they get their due uptance because fuck the Klan, of course. But I really enjoyed this book, and surprisingly, I mean not surprisingly, because like a bruja book, like a bruja club owner, take my money. So the next book I read was for the prompt to read a book where I forgot to mention, this was also on my 23 for 23 challenge, so that went well. Next book I read was for the prompt of the first book you see when you open Instagram or Goodreads. And I mean, if you've been anywhere on Instagram on the bookish side for the last couple months, you'll know the biggest book right now is Fourth Wing by Roja Yaros. So I read Fourth Wing. This book follows Violet. She is being forced to enter the writer contingent of the military school that she is going to, when she originally wanted to be a scribe, but her mother, who is general, is like, no child of mine is being a nerd. You have to be a jock. And even though Violet struggles from a autoimmune disease and is physically not the best, and has been training her life to be a scribe, she has to do her best to train and survive. And this whole course is meant to kill you. And I enjoyed it. It's not the worst book I've read. It is not the best. I give it a solid 3.5 stars. I read through it pretty quickly, and I enjoyed it. Like, it wasn't a slog fest, which I'm happy with, and it read pretty quickly. I enjoyed, and I laughed at some of the lines. Like, there's a part where she's like, I'm not attracted to toxic men. I'm not attracted to toxic men. And I'm like, girl, same. Because I have to be saying that myself. But, I enjoyed it. The romance, and I heard terrible things about the romance and the sex scenes, and I'm sorry, but I read Kindle Unlimited romance books. I had a heavy fanfic era, like fanfic reader era. Y'all don't know bad sex scenes. Okay? Y'all don't know bad sex scenes. If you're saying this was bad, you guys don't. Y'all innocent. I've read some shit. But beside the point, I still enjoyed this. I was like waiting for the dragons to get through. Nell from Nell Diamond has read this, and I was messaging her, and I was like, where's the dragons? Where's the dragons? I'm 100 pages in. Where's the dragons? And when they showed up, I was happy. So I enjoyed this. I have the second book pre-order, so I will most likely be continuing with the series, even though I thought this was a duology, and then I was watching a TikTok, and she's like, I have 5 books planned out. I was like, 5? I thought this was a duology. I thought I was in and out. But that's here and there. We will read and continue on, hopefully, with the series. Mood. My book fell. Same. Mentally. Next book I listened to was a book for my 23 for 23 challenge, and that was The Iron Warrior. This is the last book in the second trilogy by Julika Kawa of the Iron Fae. This is the Iron Fae, the Realm of the Forgotten, I believe is what the second trilogy is called. And this wraps up this Ethan's story. Ethan and what is his name? Keegan's story. And I enjoyed it. The ending was pretty good. It was a quick read. That's what I do like about Julika Kawa. She knows how to write a book in like 300 pages and get in and get out. And this was like a wrap up, and it still felt like everything was wrapped up. It didn't feel like it had to be like over 500 pages for every little detail to be wrapped up. So I will say that about Julika Kawa. I mean, I love Julika Kawa. Her Shadow of the Fox trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. So she knows how to write a quick book, and I will be continuing, of course, with the next trilogy set in this world this month. But this was like a 3.5, almost 4 stars. I enjoyed it, even though Ethan's just not my favorite main character, and that kind of was why I boiled down the ratings of the books. But I still enjoyed this. Whew, okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books left. The next book I read was Torch Against the Night by Selva Tahir. This was not a part of the Magical Readathon. This was for my 23 and 23 challenge. This follows the events of Ember in the Ashes. If you don't know what Ember in the Ashes is about, it follows 2 characters, Lila and Elias, who are both people in this empire, the Martial Empire. Lila is a scholar, people who are oppressed and slaves of the Martial Empire, and Elias is a member of Black Myth Academy, which is this elite military school, and he is in training to be a blade, where they kind of like beat the living life out of you until you are nothing but a soulless killing machine. And Elias is not that, and even though he's like the best of the best, he has a heart, and he's like, no, this is wrong, and he's trying to escape, and him and Lila's paths cross, and shit happens. And the second book opens up the world. I don't want to quote Princess, but like, I can already hear her saying this book opened up the world more. There was more magic in this, and I am very excited to continue on with the series. I give this like a 3.4, because I do say this book did feel like it had middle book syndrome, but there was a plot twist I didn't see coming that I should have saw coming, that I was like, okay, you got me, gal. You got me. She got me. You got me. Okay, the next book was my book club pick for August 2023. If you do not know, I have a book club, Enchanted Forest Book Club, which is in my Discord, which will be linked down below. And every month we read a book by BIPOC authors, mostly fantasy. I try to do an adult, young adult, middle grade, and comic select. And for August, we read Damned If You Do by Alex Brown. This is a debut, where it was pitched as Buffy meets lesbians and Filipino folklore. This book follows Cordelia, who she did not realize she had banished her father to hell 10 years ago, and the demon she made the deal with is like, hey, I need your help, so I will like release your soul from the debt we have that you made when you were 10 if you help me beat this bigger, badder demon. And yeah, so let's do that. And so they have to team up to try to take him down. There's Filipino culture mixed in there. It talks a lot about childhood trauma with an abuser, and I enjoyed this. This was a 3.3 stars. This is a very debut book, and I will see more of what this author has to do. There was some things I had a problem with, but like they weren't huge issues, and I still really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it. Okay, we're almost down to the last 3. Okay, the next book was a book I buddy read with Helen, the MVP of the chat, of any chat she's in, the woman in the chair I call her, but she's a big supporter, and We Buddy Read Venco by Shirley Gilleen. I probably butchered her name, so like God smite me. But this book is about a group of witches that are all looking for a spoon. You have to find the spoon to be inducted into the coven, and they are waiting for their 7th member. And Lucky St. James, a Indigenous woman of Canadian descent, she lives in Canada, finds the 6th spoon, and so the coven gets her, and they're like, hey, we have to find the 7th spoon, but also, unknowns to us, there is this immortal witch hunter after us. And I enjoyed it. It took me a minute to get into it, but I really enjoyed it. I liked what it had to say about witches. I liked what it had to say about women and stuff like that, and like the power of witches and society and stuff. And there were some lines where I had to message Helen about. Also, I am so mad because it's on the cover too that I didn't see this. Venco Paco. If you watch my vlog, you know. But I gave this almost 5 stars. It was really good. I want to know if this is going to be more in this, because the way it ended, I could see that. But I really enjoyed this. Chef's kiss. Okay, next is another buddy read, and that was Empire of Storms by Miss Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. This follows everything about Throne of Glass you need to know. Say what you will about Miss Sarah J. Maas, Miss Sarah Janet Maas, Miss Maas, whatever you want to call her. There are problems in her writing. Clear. I'll be first to admit it. Her fandom is toxic as hell. But this series, Throne of Glass, I could give less of... I like ACOTAR, but hear me, I could give less of a fuck about ACOTAR. I could give less of a fuck about ACOTAR over this series. Throne of Glass is it for me. I love this series. Some of the main characters in this book are my favorite characters. Some of my favorite literary characters. I was listening to this book, and even though this is a reread, there were some scenes that I was almost crying at work. My toxic trait is I'm a Throne of Glass stan. I'm sorry, I said it. I don't want her to touch the series again. I know big crossovers are happening, and I'm like, can we not touch my babies? Can we not? Because your recent work, I'm gonna get killed in the comments if any Sarah J. Maas fans find me. Your recent works haven't been the best, and you wrapped this series up well. So please don't touch. Don't touch. Please, just leave it alone. But I enjoyed this book, of course. Like I said, this is one of my top of books in the series. After Queen of Shadows, it goes Queen of Shadows, Kingdom of Ash, and this, and I just loved it. Elaine, Jesus, Satan. You know who her. She is that girl. Manon is that girl. Lysandra is that girl. Elide is that girl. Lorcan can get it. Love the series, but I love this book. I'm very incoherent. It is late. I'm filming this again midnight on Friday when this video is supposed to be up, so crazy. I am. Okay, that was 5 stars. Last book I read was Sins of the Black Flamingo, and this prompt was for a book that indie or self-pub, and this is a book by, I think, Boom Studios. And so if in the comic book world, if it's not Marvel or DC, it's an indie publishing, because you have the big two and then everything else is indie. So this was by Boom Studios, and this is by Andrew Willer, Travis Moore, Tamara Bolivier, and Nidia Boakior. This is a all-queer team, which is amazing. And this book follows Sebastian Haro, who is the Black Flamingo. He's a very flamboyant, narcissist thief who is funny as hell. I love Sebastian Haro. They were throwing and cracking the most jokes, and I was enjoying it heavily. This book is and it's fun, it's queer, it's gay, it's slutty, it's adult. This is an adult book, and the art is fantastic. Here is them at a circuit party because they have to hide, and one of them's an angel, and they're like, no one will notice us at a circuit party. This is just fun and stupid and fun, and again, and the clan is in this book, and so it's if I had a nickel for every book that I read this month that had the Klan in it, I'd have 2 nickels. It's not a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Because fuck the Klan. Again. But I really enjoyed this. It was fun. Abel is baby. Abel is a sweetheart. And even though he's a grown attractive man in this book, he is a sweetheart. And I want to hug him and be like, oh baby, don't. Oh, you poor thing. He's so sweet. But it says there's going to be more in the series. I'm very excited. I didn't really describe what happens in the series, but Sebastian Harrow is a thief who steals magical artifacts from the rich because they're the only ones that have shit, he says. And one day when at a party, he finds something that he's never seen before, and it changes everything. And so shit happens, and I really enjoyed this. It takes place in Florida, and that's all I have to say about that. But I really enjoyed this. I am hoping they continue more with this because it was so fun. But that is all I read this month. I had a lot of really good reads. Probably Brundlepunk Gruha is my favorite book of the month. But like Venko and Shadow Cabinet and Sins of Black Flamingo and Empire of Storms are all like neck and neck. But that is what I read this month. What did you guys read? Comment down below. Thank you for watching me ramble about random ass books. This video was long enough. But like I said, all my links will be down below. I try to post videos every Friday, vlogs Wednesdays, and maybe reading sprints throughout the week, if the gods allow. I highly doubt reading sprints are going to be happening because the basketball season is coming right around the corner, and when that happens, I have to just go into a work cave and work, and I will be hosting videos, of course, and my book club will be continuing, but just you're going to be seeing me emotionally drained more and more. But I will see y'all later. Bye.